So go up to Tennessee. They have like quarter comics.
We have quarter bins and methamphetamines. If you do some meth, you can look for comics for a long time.
Jesus Christ! Oh my God!
Since the beginning of all comic books, creators have been mistreated. As for better pay, only to be told,
No!
Then, something happened that brought all media together. The internet brings comic fans around the world into one comic community. We support the just pay and recognition of these comic creators, comic fam. Because comics are for everyone. It's 10 p.m. Eastern, live from the United States to Australia. This is the Not Near Mint Show. A weekly YouTube show about comic books.
Welcome to the Not Near Mint Show, everybody. It is September the 8th, 2021. It is the 108th episode. Tonight, we have Instagram. He's known as Comics at Law. Here, he is known as Ricardo Rodriguez-Vacas. He'll be the attorney that we'll be discussing some of the contract law with in the comic book industry. So, otherwise, we have some creators with us. We have Nick and we have Jared. They published some comic books through Action Lab, and yes, this is the Action Lab episode. And our goals tonight are to get creators paid per their contracts, to restore some communication, and really more than anything is to make sure that new creators are just aware of the kinds of things that can happen in the industry. Now, we do not promote anger, we do not promote hate, we do not promote toxicity here at Not Near Mint, but we do hold people accountable, and we want to make sure that we inform and educate and maybe laugh a little and maybe even learn a little bit something ourselves. So we got a great show ahead for you guys tonight, and we have comic book therapy coming up around 11 p.m. tonight, and otherwise, please welcome everybody. Everybody, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, hello.
Hi. So we have Ricky here, and Ricky is a Miami attorney, so he can field some of the questions for people that are in the audience tonight. Otherwise, we have Nick and Jared. Let's start with Nick. Nick, please tell us, who are you, and how did you start hearing about Action Lab to begin with?
Hey, what's up, Rob? Okay, so I'm a comic book writer. Name's Nick Marino, and I was trying to pitch this book that was originally called The Bible 2, but eventually became Holy Fuck. And it was a bit of a tough sell, and I needed a publisher, an indie publisher, because it wasn't going to be picked up by somebody large, right? Who would be open to taking something that was a mature reader's book that was a bit unusual. And they were the ones who replied and said yes to my cold call email. And that's how I got started with them. I kind of knew some of the people involved before that, but up until that point, I really didn't know too much until I got the contract and I read it. And I was unimpressed, but I still signed it. So there's your first lesson. Don't do that.
So, Jared, how did you come about hearing about Action Lab?
A pretty similar situation as I imagine would be the regular case. I had just had my first miniseries, Dryfoot, announced, and I was looking to keep that kind of momentum going with a book called Crash and Troy that I knew was like dynamite, and it was a really good book. And so we pitched it to Action Lab in February of last year. I knew of them almost exclusively because they published David Pepos's books that were Spencer and Locke and Going to the Chapel, and those were super good. So I knew of them through that, and I pitched Crash and Troy to them, and it got picked up, and that is how we got here 18 months later.
That sounds like the simplest and nicest story that ended with not so nice of an ending.
It did not. How tragic it has become.
So we don't want to poke any too much of a bear. So please, both of you, only share what you're comfortable and perhaps what anybody may have advised you to share. But to the audience, everybody out there who may not be totally aware, it became apparent in the last several weeks, very obvious in the last several weeks, that there was something going on. A lot of creators were talking about not getting communications back. Did that happen to the two of you?
Yes.
Oh, Action Lab's the worst. Just about everything they do. But communication is one of the top things they do the worst.
Looks like Jared might agree, although that's just a laugh, and I don't think that's actionable in court. Go ahead, Jared.
Well, I actually had a real quick question. At what point did you start noticing? Was this before the pandemic, during the pandemic? How long ago did this start happening?
Well, Jared, I think it's quite different for you. For me, I started with them in 2014. That's when I first signed on my first contract with them. And I was done by the end of 2017 because they treated our last book, Cougar and Cub, just terribly. And I was publicly beefing them while the book was still waiting to finally come out. So these are long problems in my opinion. However, it wasn't until Jared was talking about his experience with Crash and Troy until that was like a week ago, right? And that people, I guess, were finally ready to hear about it. But your experience is very, I think, pandemic related, right?
Kind of. So like I said, we signed our contracts in March of 2020. And obviously things went pretty south for the whole planet around that time. So we got told, we were never told that people were not going to be working at Action Lab, that there was like people that because obviously like the Diamond had shut down for a bit there. We never got told anything like that. So we kept trying to contact someone to figure out if we were supposed to continue work on the book or if we should halt production. We got a couple of emails back over the course of like 10 months. Wow. And they were pretty much just reminding us that they wouldn't solicit the book unless all 4 issues of the book were completed in advance. So the book would not be in previews until all 4 issues were drawn, colored, lettered, and ready to print. So that was, and then so we sent that in December. And yeah, so we've had communication problems the whole time. When someone doesn't want to answer an email, they don't. Like, as far as I know, like we've had real questions and real problems that we've needed, and we haven't gotten answers for it. And that's just sort of the way that it is. And I don't know what exactly was happening between December and April when our problems hit like a massive spike. I don't know what was going on, but there was definitely a lack of communication there. And then in this last 5 months, we've had a lot more than we have previously, but it's still sometimes people don't answer emails when we're asking really important questions like, hey, did you know the book didn't come out today? Was that something you were in the loop on? Things, or hey, I have shops calling me and emailing me saying that it's not on their invoice for next week. Could you guys give us a rundown of what's going on that? And we just don't get a reply, or we do get a reply and it's something like, I'll look into it, and then we never hear back on it. So it's been communication at the bare minimum. Communication has been a massive, massive problem.
And is it just a point of contact of one person, or is this reaching out to multiple people that you just receive nothing?
Our original contact left the company and we had no idea. So I'm not going to name them because they were pretty good to us and I don't have any beef with them. I'm not going to name anybody, as a matter of fact, because
Right.
I'm going to be as cool as I can, and I'll bring it up to them when I see them at a convention. But the person that we were in a main contact with left the company, and we were never told. So it's 100% possible we were sending emails to a person who doesn't work there anymore for like the back half of 2020, but we had no clue. We had no idea that person wasn't working there. So there was no way for us to get into contact with somebody else.
There was no communication that person left either?
No, none. Zero.
Wow.
Recently, there was a statement that said that they had closed up until spring of this year. And that was news to us. So we had never even heard that. We had heard people weren't working. We had heard one of the emails said that people had gotten furloughed, but we didn't know that they were completely shut down. But yeah, and then we had
that's funny because like most of the people who work there, I mean, I imagine some people get paid properly, but so many of the people who were like positions at Action Lab, they're just volunteers. So when I saw that furloughed thing, I was like, who? What I don't mind. Should I not name names? I'm very comfortable naming every name because
we don't want anyone to get in trouble. I don't want anyone to lose their jobs because I imagine if you're working at a comic book company,
to lose things personally speaking. But
I'm sure that this show tonight will lose somebody a job somewhere. Let's just hope it's none of us here and none of you watching.
Can I use an abbreviation?
Ricky,
what's up?
Can you use an abbreviation?
I want to lose my job. I want to be a comic book creator.
Obviously, you're not giving any legal advice, but is it a good idea to use an abbreviation in this particular instance, Ricky?
Oh, you could put it. You could just say, well, unless they're easily identifiable, I wouldn't. I mean, if they're the only if they're the only person with those with that abbreviation, I would stay away from it. But
maybe an L,
call them a nickname or something.
Yeah, nickname. Okay. All right, I'll think of one while you guys are talking about other stuff.
So it sounds like we've all said here. You know, it blew up in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, Crash and Troy. There was a lot of hype built around that in the indie and the small press community. I had it on pre-order. A bunch of us, we had talked about it before. I knew a bunch of other small press creators that were making the book. There was interest here. This was a book that had hype. But you had said something earlier, and I think it might have been you, Nick, that there's no promotion from them, right? Like it's like, hey, you guys are doing all the legwork on this, right?
I'll give you an example. This is how little proper promotion you get from Action Lab. Albeit, I think it was probably better back in the day for me. I felt like they did such a poor job on their socials that I volunteered to help them. So for maybe a year and a half, something like that, I ran, this is back when Tumblr was a big thing. And I ran the Action Lab Danger Zone Tumblr just because I wanted to promote my own book. And so I promoted all their other solicits there. Right. And occasionally I would even do some tweets for them from their mature readers imprint, the Danger Zone account. Because really, I wasn't sure if they didn't know what they were doing or if they didn't care or if they were too busy. I mean, it definitely wasn't that they ended up being too busy, that's for sure. But, I was like, if I can benefit from doing a little bit of work that I'd probably just be doing on my own socials, but for potentially a slightly wider audience, why not do it? But the only thing you could count on, for me, in my case, was they would send out a newsletter that may or may not contain an actual link to a review copy. It might be a dead link or a wrong link. And they would kind of let people know when the books were supposed to be in stores, maybe, or when the solicits came out, maybe, but none of it was really done properly on time or accurately. They normally had a lot of typos in and stuff, but they tried, because they did try to do press releases, but like everybody was basically a volunteer with the exception of a few positions. So you can't expect much.
Volunteer. Can you expand on that slightly? Because that sounds very
volunteer or intern.
I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
I hear volunteer, and I could think of one of two things: somebody that volunteers for nothing for an hour of their time, or they're an intern and they're not getting paid, but at least they're there for like 6 or 8 hours.
Well, there's no there isn't an Action Lab office. Right. Okay? Everybody works from home. As far to the best of my knowledge, There's never been anything that even comes close to a semblance of an office. And what we're talking about are people who are able to do their jobs remotely because it's comics, right? And I think, and this is where it gets quite murky when I dig into my accounting, because I've never gotten a straight answer from people out of this. I think that pretty much every role in the company, with the exception of the person who's in charge, who I don't have a good nickname for yet, but who I believe is the true problem. You can hit my Twitter account if you want to see who I think it is. Who I know it is, let's be real. But other than that individual, I think some of these people might bill the company for some things that they do. I think maybe they bill for some design they do or production work they do, but they're still mostly volunteers within their position. I only know one person who wanted to be paid to be there and made that a tenet of their part of their relationship with them. And I'm not even sure how much they got paid or if they actually had that demand met. It's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, but isn't the whole point of the job to have? Is the goal of a job is to have the title of that job?
But these are titles without jobs. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like that's why everything was always unreliable there, because it wasn't. There wasn't. There's no accountability.
Job
Yeah.
anyway, so who cares?
So here's where I think this is where it becomes. This is where it gets interesting. If you had a title with them, you probably held shares in Action Lab. That's my understanding that I've been told by different people there, and that I've seen some people even tweeting about recently.
Okay. All right. So, just to follow up on that, and, I kind of had this discussion with some other comic friends in the community. Some who've got some experience publishing, some who've got some experience just with the business side of it. And, correct me if I'm totally wrong, but a lot of these smaller press, publishers, and maybe we'll not say all of them because we can't say that for certainty, but with your experience with Action Lab, for these folks that were volunteers, was there a good majority of people that were just kind of working there or doing things for them that in your mind might have been just because they were excited to be involved with comics? They were either trying to break in or they just really liked comics, or
that's why you signed the contract. That's everybody who's got a book. That's everyone.
Yeah, it turns out that Jared and I were also volunteers. So yeah, that was our motivation.
Yeah, I volunteered a lot of time. You guys want to talk about promotion? I emailed when I got to speak to someone at Action Lab who wasn't our editor, who had stonewalled us for months. I mentioned that one of my biggest grievances is that I did all my team and I, but mostly me, because I feel like that's my responsibility. I'm not saying that points. Artists have a physical job that they're doing, and my job as the writer is to be better at the promotional stuff.
Yeah.
So my biggest complaint was they didn't do any promo. We didn't get a tweet. We didn't get a retweet. We didn't get review copies. We got and when I mentioned that, because our book sold well. And it sold well because I didn't shut up about it. I was doing interviews. I was sending out review copies. I emailed about 1,000 shops in the process of getting the book out. And I was told that they did promote it because they put an ad in previews. And that was their extent. And it's such a small thing.
An ad or a solicit?
They said an ad. I haven't seen an ad.
I didn't see an ad.
It's just a solicit. You can't. It's only a solicit, really.
Yeah.
I mean, other than being on the cover, right? And I don't even think I don't know the full selection process.
Diamond previews book does have some clearly promotional spots where you can pay for a whole page or something like that, and then you still show up in the solicit later. So they do have that, but I get them every month, and I did not see it in there. I go through that cover to cover. I even look in the manga stuff, and I don't read any of that.
So on the solicit, if it was about this large, would it take up the full page or a small section?
If it's a solicit, it's small,
like a 2x2.
Yeah. And I think that's what he meant when he said it. Which is just embarrassing to even say. I wouldn't even say that. If I ran a comic company and that was the most that I did, I would just opt out of making that argumentative point. It was pretty bad. And we know it sold well. They know it sold well. And so I don't understand why we're even at this point. Like, they can't take credit for any part of it. At any part of it. They can't take credit for the work done on the book. They can't take credit for the promotional part of the book. All they've done is maybe print copies of it, and I can't even confirm that because I haven't even seen the Diamond invoice that I asked for almost a week ago. So I don't know. I have no clue what they've done at all in any capacity.
And just seeing that everything's already been sent out to the printers, you can't get a confirmation whether it's a photograph of physical, tangible copy, nothing to get any kind of confirmation. I mean, what kind of deadline are you looking at now? Seeing that, is it going to take a month before it hits stands? Is it going to take a year before it hits stands? Will it just be shelved in a warehouse?
So we were told the new date. I'm not going to say it because I have no intention of promoting the date, because I have made it very clear to Action Lab that I don't want them to publish the book. I don't want to work with them. None of our team wants to work with them. For those of you who are watching and don't know, we've had 4 release dates. The book hasn't come out on any of them. So we're done. I'm not promoting for them. I have no guarantee that I'm going to see any. We've seen a lot of accounts of people who talk about who haven't been paid. We've seen dozens of people talking about how they haven't been paid. Why am I going to continue to promote a book you failed to release 4 times that I worked for 18 months on, and I don't even know if I'm going to get paid? It's just not something I have any interest in doing. We were not able to come to terms, as far as I know, because today was the deadline and they didn't answer any of my emails. And according to them, they asked Diamond to cancel the book, but Diamond says they never got a cancellation order from Action Lab. So as far as I know, the book's coming out whether or not I like it. I just have zero interest in promoting it for them.
Yeah. So I saw that.
Oh, go ahead.
I saw that thread that you put up today. Maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours before the show, kind of summing up, that rundown today. Just to make sure everybody gets this. Jared said, "I don't want you to do the book." The creator said, "We don't want you to do the book." Action Lab said, "You can buy our printed stock back from us." Which, yeah, I'm with you, Nick. I'm with you.
No,
not with your tag on it. Apparently.
You can buy the printed stock back from us because we put all this stock in it. And you have until this day to get the money together. You and the team put the money together.
Yep.
And then once again, Action Lab never responded.
Yeah. So they told us they wanted $3,000 for the printed copies of the book that they have had 4 chances to print a copy of and send it to shops. And here's the crazy part that I didn't even get to go into my thread, right? Because this is the funniest part. Today is the 8th. The book comes out several times from now, according to them. But that means that they knew ahead of time that whether or not it was going to come out, because they knew they had a deadline that we had to meet in order to cancel the book. So why wasn't I told the 4 times we missed the book when the release didn't come out? Because I had to hear it from comic shops, and I had to hear it from people that were having a hard time ordering it. We never heard from Action Lab that the book wasn't coming out ahead of time, more than a week. I think they told us one time that it was going to be it was a week out, and it wasn't going to come out. So I don't know how that works, how they have a hard deadline. They know they have to meet this time in order for the book to come out, but they didn't know the previous times. So, but even regardless of that, we have the 3K, and we told them that we'd pay it, and I would take over the stock, and I'd figure out what to do with that. And we just needed an invoice, because I'm not going to pay someone who has already done what I think is shady stuff to me and my team. I'm not going to give them $3,000 without knowing the books exist. I'm not going to give my mom $3,000 unless I know what she's going to spend it on, Sure. And so I was like, I need to have something like of a receipt. We haven't seen that, haven't gotten it. If you ordered the books, I'd imagine you'd have one by now, and it would be nothing more than just attaching it to an email. And I haven't seen that. And then today was the deadline they needed to know. Obviously, we know Diamond did not have a cancellation order as of today, even though we were told Action Lab sent it. And I emailed them today asking why Diamond said that, and I haven't heard anything back. So I'm assuming that what the move is that they're just going to publish the book anyway. I'm hoping that I wake up tomorrow with an email that says, "Nope, I'm just bad at answering emails," but I don't think that's what's going to be the case. So,
Nick,
we met their terms, their whole terms. We came to terms. We walked over to them and said, "Okay, we'll give you everything that you asked for." Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's funny. We were like, "We'll meet you all the way, not halfway. We'll meet you all the way," and they still wouldn't come to terms with us. And that's a lot of. I'm not gonna speculate as to why that is. I have a lot of theories. But yeah, it's insane. It's like living in Bizarro land. Nothing makes sense.
All right. Nick, you were laughing when we were talking about Jared having to pay the invoice there because they already had the books produced. It sounds like it looks like maybe you have a take on this.
Yeah, I got so many takes. So when it comes to the invoice thing, this is a very unusual thing going on with them. Ricky, I would love to get your opinion on this. So I'm gonna share some details with you that I'm aware of. And I want to know some of the terminology that surrounds this aspects of what they've done. I'm going to give you my situation as an example, but it turns out, as I've learned, thanks to Jared kicking all this off last week, that my situation is not nearly as unique as I thought it was, because a lot of other people are in a similar situation. I do have my numbers because my shit was printed a long time ago. And before this episode, I decided to do some math because I'm going to call him Subway. That's the guy. That's the nickname I'm going to give the head honcho over there.
Damn, that's funny. That's good.
That's good, right? Yeah, I'm going to call him Subway. And
a lot of Subway.
Well, he's
that's hilarious.
Yeah, Subway means a lot to
That's
him.
hilarious.
So he sent me my dead stock that's sitting at Diamond, and I did the math on his offer, which is I could buy it back at 60% off cover price. So before Diamond shipping and fees, that would be $50,000 and $50,005.21. That's how much I would have to pay to get my dead stock back. These are for small indie books.
Yeah.
I have literally, this is no joke, this kills me when I think about it. Holy fuck, number 3, the third issue of a 4-issue miniseries had 3 covers. There are 2,000 copies of the 2 variant covers still at Diamond. There is no sensible way you can explain why you would overprint a variant cover by 2,000 copies. It's not, we don't sell numbers like that. My first issue had orders of like 3,500 or so, and that was with a 500 issue exclusive that went to this one buyer. So about 3,000 of those issues went into comic shops. Why would you order on a third issue? So they've got this overprinting thing that they do. And I found out that it happened to a lot of creators because they're offering this buyback deal to people and they're coming back with these crazy numbers. Like it would cost me $27,000 to buy back what Subway says I got to buy back. Because that's who's answering the emails. And I'm wondering, Ricky, what is the deal? Like you enter into this agreement with a company, you enter in good faith, thinking that they are going to properly manage the product because that's their responsibility in this relationship. I give them the content, they manage selling the product. But if they are sinking so much money into ordering the product, excessive amounts that would never reasonably sell, then I can't make net royalties on it, which is our whole profit incentive with the contracts that we sign. So isn't that kind of like bad faith on their part? What is there a terminology for that?
So sure, you could first of all, every contract, and I'll talk about this in the next segment, but every contract and every situation and everything is on a case-by-case basis. So your contract is different from Jared's, etc. We all know that. So once again, we have to also go into, I haven't read your contract or his, and, everyone is different and all the terms spell out different things. But let's start off from a general, understanding of who really owns those books, right? So, if look at all the books in my room, if I want to, if I want to put a value on that, I'm not getting to the bad faith and the historical patterns that have to be investigated and to prove that. But off the top, whose property are those books right now? Technically, if it's their property, and they decide they want to sell them for X amount of money, whether it's bad business practice or or their business judgment, which is, you mentioned another thing that I'll touch upon to give some suggestions when you have a young or independent comic creator up and coming. One of the things you mentioned was the people, behavior, and business practices, and I'm going to touch upon that later. So if this is going to touch upon the business practices. If this is something that you see that's a business practice of these people, without getting into bad faith or not, it could be a red flag. That's just a warning for the future. We're not going to go into. So, but to answer your question, whether or not what they're doing is right or wrong requires a bunch of other facts. But off the top of the bat, it's are the books their property, and can you do what you want with your property? Now, there's another question of what you mentioned: is it good faith or bad faith? Is there a breach of contract? You obviously need are they malicious? Are they actually interfering on purpose? That's another set of things that have to be proven to damage you or whatnot. But it's a higher bar,
No,
But,
I understand. I mean, in
but
my opinion,
we're starting off with books. It's
right.
I printed them. They're my warehouse.
Right.
You want them? Fine. Okay, there's a cost to that.
There's a couple of
But what
pieces
about
you
that
said.
overprinting an issue 3, a very arbitrary issue to print? Because usually you'd overprint on the first, so they do it on the third, so that way they could say, "Hey, we made this mistake." But really, does that become their mistake or your mistake now, being the person that was the original owner?
Right, and that's an interesting question that I don't really know the answer to. I haven't even found it. Maybe interesting. Maybe it's a new novel case type of thing. But I mean, is it bad practice? Are they doing this in a pattern? And then you mentioned that they're doing this, so that's a very interesting thing. That might be something that might be good to litigate, because is it an intentional bad practice? They're gonna probably argue, no, I mean, it's our right to publish because we thought in good faith issue number 3 was gonna be a blockbuster hit, and it was, how do you?
We got Alex Ross doing the cover.
That's one of the variants.
Wait,
it sounds like
how do you judge? Like, how do you? You're supposed to. I mean, how do you? would have to establish a pattern, but it's
So actually,
battle,
Ricky,
is what I'm saying. It's very hard, and they make it. They have their fancy lawyers probably from downtown, or they don't have any.
So Ricky, you're already talking about a
is their
pattern,
lawyer, and he's not very good. I read his contracts.
Okay,
I heard that
you're talking about patterns, and at least on Twitter, you can get those patterns. You can figure it out by comparing notes, which, as Jared started off last week doing, you're starting to see what has been that emerging pattern.
Yeah.
And as I always say, if something happens once, it's a coincidence. If it happens twice, it's a pattern. What is the pattern, and where are things
Well,
falling?
I mean, people can litigate anything, and unfortunately, I'll talk about that later. Comic creators have to. That's one of the prongs I'll talk about later. But one of these things is you have to figure out, is it worth the fight to litigate, because litigation and lawsuits, all that costs money. But forget about that. But once you get there, you got to prove all these things, and it takes depositions and requesting evidence and finding and evasive.
Never-ending discovery.
So one thing is the theory. Good faith, and then the practice. And then sure, I'm gonna play neutral here. I don't, just to give the devil the benefit of the doubt. Although I believe everything you're saying, there might be other issues for the things going on as well. I wrote down some notes from both of you. That we'll talk about later. Good faith, the bad business practices. I mean, you can have a business and you could legitimately have investors and employees and people who contribute, but you could be a total wreck and a disaster and run your business horribly. It's not against the law to run your business horribly. Right. You could be a disaster. I mean,
it kind of sounds like, and I don't want to put any words in Ricky's mouth here, but and I'm going to say IANAL, I am not a lawyer. But absent an email sent from Subway to, a co-conspirator of Subway's going, we're going to rip these creators off and overprint these books, you're SOL. Because it's just, It sounds like it. But you actually said something, not to step away from this, but you actually said something, Nick, that I wanted to double back on. And I have a good friend who owns an LCS. I've been a comic collector for 40 years. I have I've had a lot of conversations with comic shops. And you said that they made an offer to you to buy back your stock at 60% of cover price. Cover price $3.99.
It's 60% off, so 40% of cover price.
Okay, 40% of cover. Okay, so that number makes a little bit more sense to me from a percentage wise, because if I'm correct, most comic shops when they're ordering books, even on these indie books, they're paying like $2 from Diamond per issue.
Yeah, 40 or 50. I think it might differ depending on the publisher.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it does, yeah.
There's some slight variation depending on which one it is, for sure, no doubt about it, but around there. So,
yeah.
So if they're doing 40, they're probably getting you a little bit better than what's going to the comic shop.
Might be.
But you said $50,000 for a 4-issue mini and the trades?
No. It was so there was Holy Fuck, then we did a sequel, Holy Fucked. And both of those were 4 issues and trades. And then we did a 5-issue series called Cougar and Cub. So for some of those singles, because not every one of them, I think a few of them might be out of singles, and some variants, and all 3 of the trades are in stock. Check out this number. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the numbers that trade paperbacks sell to comic shops, but it's getting higher. But back in 2015... they must have ordered so many copies of our first trade that they still have 2,400 copies of it sitting at Diamond. For a small indie book like this, if you could sell 1,500 copies of a trade, that is spectacular to sell that to comic shops.
Yeah.
They ordered, and I know we must have sold at least 1,000, if not 1,500, maybe even 2K. So you're telling me that these guys ordered at least 3,500 of my trade. That's numbers that they would never sell. It's just never going to happen. Nobody was ever going to buy this. Why would you order it? It's insane.
No, we don't know if they're doing it for tax purposes or to write off a loss.
True.
I would be surprised about that. Yeah.
Now
but then I become
like
the casualty of that because they bill it all back to my book's account, and I can never make net royalties. And that's like it's like what Jared was saying with the previews catalog. I asked the accountant at the time, who had since departed, and then Subway became the accountant. So that tells you how well they're running. And I said to this guy, I was like, "What is this $1,500 charge just on Holy Fucked 2016 Q1 statement or something? One of those, something like that." And he was like, "Oh, that's for your Diamond ads, or whatever he said, or Diamond solicits, whatever." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. You're saying I got $1,500 billed back to my little tiny comic, right? But I came to find over time that there's at least a certain number of pages that Diamond gives to the publishers for free to solicit the books on, Right. So they're getting at least 3 pages for free, is my understanding, maybe more. So even if they're going over their page count, I'm not taking up a whole page. I'm sharing it with tons of other books on that page. How is this getting billed back to us? What exactly are we getting charged for? Those are straight answers I could never get from them.
And your contract never mentioned those little things of who's responsible for these ads or what they're, that's just, we'll talk about it later, but those are part of the things in your contract you got to look.
I know.
Or even just things that are itemized.
Yeah, I signed a vague contract. That's really the biggest curse of this whole situation.
So Jared and Nick, please correct me if I'm wrong, if your experience is different, but just to make sure I'm summing this up correctly for the audience and for everybody here to understand, you guys you're not paid a page rate here. No. This isn't like DC Marvel where they're like, you get $250 a page, son. Yeah. You're doing this. You're putting everything out. You're going to them. They're saying, we're going to get your book printed. We're gonna take this much. You're going to get this much of the profit from selling the book, and all costs are going back to come out of what we make off the book, which would also be where your royalties, pretty much the only money you're getting from this, are going to come out of that same pot. So if everything is taken up by massively overprinted runs, there's nothing left in the pot for you two to get.
Correct.
So essentially you made a book for free for a publisher. Maybe not free, but
it's complex. But Jared, what do you think? How would you describe it?
I not in any nice terms. First of all, like my biggest problem is that your book has to make it to the shop in order to produce any sort of income. Indie books are developed and curated by hype, that is developed and curated by people having read the book and telling other people that the book is good, and showing art and showing that it looks good and what's a good synopsis, pitching. There's like a whole facet. That's why in 2021 there's PR firms based on, or people doing PR that are based solely in comics, because it's a changing market. So derailing it with a bunch of really terrible planning and scheduling is counterintuitive to selling the book. And so when it comes to like the royalties thing, I think that they're overprinting because they don't know what they're doing. To be totally honest with you, my first book was with Mad Cave Studios. I have a lot of love for that company. I'm still friends with everyone that works there. Big homies, love them all. Those guys know exactly what to order and how to stock it and what their market is. They market their trades in a big way to the book market. Dryfoot sells really well in bookstores, so as a trade paperback. So to me, I think that they're over ordering because they don't know what they're doing. I think it's a bad business practice. But the contract is also designed to cover up their I believe that the contract is designed that if you do a bad business practice, it saves them from anything. Their costs are protected as long as your book makes it to the store. So we pay out everything. We pay their printing fees. I think we pay off some diamond fees too in the books sell by the books sell. So they're insulated. When they do a bad business practice, they're pretty insulated from it, so long as they can offload your books. So if somebody orders 3,000 copies of a third issue, like you can't offset that, and
Right.
they're protected because they're charging it to you. Essentially, you're going to dig yourself a hole that you'll never. So maybe short term, sure, maybe they'll eat the bullet a little bit. But then you come around and say, "Hey, I want my book back," and they say, "Hey, you should pay me $20,000 because I don't know how to order and stock." Like,
So correct me if I'm wrong, and if you don't want to get into this, that's fine. But a chunk of this for the publisher is the potential of perhaps something being made into a movie or a show, or moving over to another piece of media. Do they get a piece of that pie?
I believe their contract is publishing rights. There is some licensing language in there that I have not been focused on the last couple of days. So I think that there's probably a chance that they do. It's been all I've been focusing on lately is the revenue and the ad stuff.
Sure.
And so I'm not going to have those answers. I've got somebody else looking at the contract so that he can give me a full rundown on it. So I'll hopefully have some kind of answer for that
Nick,
in the next day or so.
Your experience on that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what my breakdown was in my contract. 60/40 publishing net royalties, 60 to me. 70/30 outside of publishing. I guess you would say it's not really net because you don't really expect Action Lab to necessarily be putting up the money for anything, but it's more like if something got licensed, if there was an adaptation or merchandise or something like that. Maybe the merchandise numbers were different. I forget those exactly, but I do remember our media rights split was 70/30. 70, well, not just me, but myself and my collaborator, Daniel Rudamasa. And if I remember correctly, the one thing that I found attractive about that as well, we have basically nothing moves forward without our approval in that regard.
Yeah.
But you know what? Honestly, as I've learned more about the book business, as I've gotten more into this stuff and been through this experience, to a creator starting out there, you don't necessarily have to give any of that away. If you're working with a small publisher like this, you can give away 0 of your media rights, and there can still be a profit incentive for that publisher there. So don't feel like you got to sacrifice any of that.
So really, once they, let's say things go south and they have this, palette of books that they're sitting on, if a creator wants to get all the rights back, they're going to have to put up and buy that palette of books. right? I mean, there's no, if they can sit on that pallet forever, you never buy them back, and then 10 years from now, somebody comes on and goes, let's do a fucked, movie, and whoever still owns some of Action Lab gets 30%, right?
Whoever still owns is the question.
Well, if it exists still, yeah, that's.
I'm interested to see if they might find some way to sell it, because I think just from a PR position, they got themselves in a serious hole. So I don't know what they're going to do as a company moving forward from there anyway.
We were worried.
And there might be some separate issue there because, well, we've been talking about payments and breach of contracts, right? Then you have another related but separate issue of intellectual property rights. And that's a whole other world.
Yeah.
And the contract can reference that and say, who owns what and what you can do and how long you have or whatever. So
And
Sounds like a new contract.
Recently on I don't know if it was one of you guys or somebody put it on the Twitter about somebody just settled with Action Labs like 10 days ago or something about
Dan Mendoza, the zombie tramp guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Zombie Tramp with Dan
there you go.
Mendoza.
That's in a whole other. That's not really like this, because Dan's contract was a licensing contract from the start, as opposed to creator owned with sharing, right?
Right.
Also, Dan was so in bed with these guys. He was really at the height of his sales prowess when we were getting started there. So we were always compared to them. Our book was the second best selling mature readers book behind Zombie Tramp. You know what I mean?
Right.
You kind of can't frame it the same. I'm privy to some details about Dan's deal that I am not allowed to share.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that it looks good on paper, in my opinion, but it is worse than anything any of us have been offered. That's my opinion of it. That's all I have to say.
Well, it just goes back to thinking it's a case by case, and every contract is different, sort of, and everybody's issue is you just gotta. And maybe each of us you negotiate differently here. Maybe somebody did have an attorney that put in a bunch of clauses in that we don't know, or maybe somebody had worse, or every contract is different, and every situation, like Nick said, is different.
Yeah. Well, it'd be like we're over at Marvel and Spider-Man being their biggest seller saying, hey, we got this character over here. Why isn't your new character Ravager 2099 selling his level of books? Like, well, because you put all your promotion behind that. It's a long known quantity that has been around for a while. And I'm just getting started over here. So I need that kind of promotional push. Without it, no one's going to hear of me. I can promote myself on Twitter, but that'll only go so far depending on your followers. Same with Instagram or any other kind of social media. And who's paying who to promote what here?
Yeah. I would not. I think if you're an indie creator, this is what this all should be, is that a lawyer is worth the money. I am super fortunate that this entire experience has connected me with like 2 or 3 lawyers that are fans of like my work and wanted to help, and so they reached out and they volunteered their time, and
Awesome.
we're going to link up with them for the long term. Like anytime I sign anything, it's going to go to one of those guys first, because I'm not doing this shit ever again. As far as I know, Philip, we still own the IP. They can't sell it without our consent, as far as I'm aware.
No, I don't.
Who knows, man? There's no rules anymore. You don't even have to promote a book or send it to the shops. Fuck you.
I'll tell you what I did, because I think they are so in breach of contract, in my opinion. And I sent them quite a lengthy reasoning for this in some emails. Maybe I'll post them publicly in a few days or something like that. We'll see how it goes. But I sent this to Subway, and I was like, look, man, you guys are so in breach of contract. This is just out of line. And I was really inspired by Jared's honesty. And I have spoken myself, but you know what? When it's one person who's kind of like a weirdo, they don't really take you seriously. When it's you guys really had a great following with Crash and Troy that really believed in the book. And this is not to discount anybody who believed in my book. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. But hey, you got this great following. You had a really great way of explaining your situation. And I was really inspired by that. And I sent them what I said. This is the subject line of my email was, notice of termination. contracts for Holy Fuck and Cougar and Cub, because in my opinion, they've breached them so hard over the years that those contracts are trash. They just don't hold up anymore. And I don't think they would hold up to any actual legal scrutiny. But again, like Ricky's saying, there's got to be a discovery process if you're trying to take this in and litigate this. That's the whole thing I'm never going to get into. I'm never even going to invest a penny in trying to litigate this stuff. But in my opinion, the whole thing's over. And I'm interested to see if moving forward, can they sucker enough people into paying them to buy back their mismanaged, overprinted titles to make a little bit of profit to stay in business? Or is this such a big PR debacle that they're going to have to close up? I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you something that really stood out to me. I have a print management degree, believe it or not. I wanted to future-proof my career.
Yeah, I love
so I have a bachelor's degree in printing, and it was a BA. So we study the aspect of not just the production aspect, but actually the business aspect. Now, I can't say anything for certain about their numbers. Obviously, it's been a good 20 years since I was actually in that business. Most of my career has actually been in computers. But I was just looking through some of the Action Lab books that I have. So they use a lithographic print process. It's a standard web-based printing process. It's a soy-based ink. I can tell that as soon as I open the books. This is, you see a lot of smaller press guys going over to digital because there's, on real small print runs, it's cheaper. But on these types of print runs, I'm telling you right now, if you go from 2,000 books to 4,000 books, you didn't double the price, production price. You increased it 20%.
Right.
So, hitting you at now I am not a lawyer. Hitting you at a 40% of cover, 60% off price, that's still them cleaning up a tidy profit in my mind. They're not selling those at cost. They're walking away with some extra change in their pocket. That sounds like it was a deal. You got a couple of creators got their properties back. We're friends with Doug Wood. We had seen he had a Twitter post. He was successful. Somebody had mentioned Dan with Zombie Tramp, but again, that was a different type of contract that was, licensed. For the rest of you guys, what I'm concerned with is, let's say Action Lab shutters up. They close the email addresses. They stop.
I almost did the same thing, man. That's like same exact thing.
Right. Let's say that happens to them, and they go up into an auction. They go up into a bankruptcy auction or something like that. Now, obviously, the only thing that sounds like they really own is 30% rights on this, 40% rights. That's really all they have. So, I don't know if you're familiar with my namesake here, but Miracle Man was the subject of a property dispute between Todd McFarlane and Neil Gaiman and what's that, Rob? What'd you say?
Just a little.
Just a little one.
Lawsuit.
Didn't
last long.
Todd thought he owned the character. Turned out he didn't. It was a whole thing. But what happens if, again, a couple years down the road, they're gone? You guys, hey, we got this list that we got an option here. We're going to make a TV show. We're going to make a movie. We're going to make a podcast. I don't know, something. Now you're dealing with some rando who bought the bankruptcy pile for 1 cent on the dollar.
Yeah, the new Acclaim, so to speak, in this situation.
Bingo.
I would be pleased to deal with that situation over dealing with Subway. So let's just do it. Let's just fast forward. Who's going to buy them? Who's got some capital just sitting around? You want to buy up a comic publisher that's got a bunch of cool books, but don't know what they're doing? I got a deal for you.
Nice.
Jared, what were you going to say, sir?
I do think that's interesting because they only have publishing rights.
Right.
And they own the minority of the media rights. So I'm kind of interested if they go under, can they sell our books aside from their publishing rights? And if they do buy the publishing rights, then all that means is that I've got someone else that I can be like, listen, man, I don't know. I know that you're coming in on this cold, but you got to know some shit has happened, So,
damn, Ignacio, that was mean. Sorry, go ahead, Jared.
So no, I'm very curious as to what that would look like.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like I after today, I don't think that Action Lab and I have anything else to discuss, unless it's a fat apology and a misunderstanding. But so I would welcome a change of the guard, someone who's willing to at least have an honest conversation about what we're doing. I would even be open to the book coming out under them if we could review the contract, because I'm not ever going to ever sign anything like that again in my life. I would rather lose a hand, to tell you the truth. This has been like a brutal 18 months with these people.
It's bad. It makes you hate selling your comics to try and do it with them. It just makes you hate it.
I about quit.
Yeah,
2 weeks
and
ago.
selling comics I can't speak for every creator, but for myself, I just want to spend my time making the comics. That's why I'm trying to work with a publisher, because for me, the selling is secondary, right? Which clearly it was based on, the poor choices I made. But like you want to work with someone you can trust, and it just Ricky, I got a question for you. I have read contracts since I signed this Action Lab one that very clearly state if ownership changes in a company, the rights transfer to the new owner. I don't remember anything like that being in my Action Lab contract about if Action Lab was bought out or sold or had a new parent company or something like that. Does that language need to be in a contract so there's a continuity of ownership or continuity of rights?
So I don't know the answer to that question, but since your contract is absent on it, that's unfortunately something that would probably have to be litigated.
Yeah.
The clearer you are, the clearer you are. I mean, because there's other things that might, there might be other things in that contract that might, give into that. We would have to talk and get back to that just for fun, just to try to figure it, because this is all interesting for me too. But that's a good question. If that term is absent, it depends. It also depends. I don't know what state you're in or what each of your contracts have a choice of venue or a
Pennsylvania. Always Pennsylvania with them.
They're in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Well,
okay.
that was the LLC was Pittsburgh, right?
So I don't know. I'm only
a
lawyer in Florida and in DC. I have the DC bar. I don't know why. I got that thinking I could maybe in the future waive in, because Florida doesn't have any reciprocity with any other state, but DC does. So once you're DC for X, you could waive into some states that have with DC in case I leave Miami.
Yeah, because you're in Florida. You guys don't really have laws there, right? Can't you just do whatever?
It's just crocodiles and mayhem,
But see, Pennsylvania law might have, that's why you should, I guess you would need a Pennsylvania lawyer if that's saying it's a Pennsylvania. I mean, I would suggest, and because that Pennsylvania lawyer would know really well contract law in Pennsylvania and what things would better apply, There's also general contract law, that apply generally and each state adopts. But, in that particular case, specifically where your contract says Pennsylvania law is going to apply, blah, 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 there might be some local meaning the state rules I have no idea about. But so that's the first thing. Always know where or what laws are being applied in your contract. And what are the procedures? Because they might have arbitration clause before you even sue. You might have to, arbitrate, and you're not even going to have a jury by trial. You might just waive that jury. So there's a bunch of things in your contract that affect how you bring the lawsuit and where you bring the lawsuit, and who might be responsible.
It's my boy
for that lawsuit. So there you go. Oh, look, there you go. Pennsylvania lawyer. So
that's my boy. That guy has all of our stuff right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Please contact the show at notnearmint@gmail.com and we will talk with you.
Yeah, because I can't really speak to Pennsylvania law. I'm not even allowed to.
No, I understand completely.
Because then your buddy there was Ricky's doing unauthorized practice of law, and then I'll get a bar complaint.
Let's not have that happen. And I do realize we're coming up on an hour.
Generally is always go to your local law,
right?
And then there might be something in Pennsylvania that might help your case, or hurt your case. I don't know. if they're pro big protection or small guy. But it all depends on. Okay, so I'm sorry I couldn't answer it specifically, but hopefully I gave you some other type of tips.
Yeah.
No, it's
and
great.
we're also coming up on the hour right now, and I know that the two of you don't have all night to be talking about this here. So is there anything that either of you really want, new creators, people that have been watching for this last hour, people that have been listening and paying attention, is there anything that you really want people to know more than anything else going forward about Action Lab and about your work? Go ahead. We'll start with Jared.
So, yeah, about Action Lab, don't work with them. Is the simple answer. But like, Action Lab's only a symptom of the greater problem in comics. If you aren't getting paid a page rate, you probably shouldn't work for the company. You should look and go to Kickstarter, build up a following in short comics, do something there so that you don't have to bankrupt yourself and you can still get work out. It's just not worth it. It's really not. Kickstarter has put out some of the best books in the last 2 years anyway, so it's not even like that's an illegitimate form of publishing. So don't work with someone who's not going to pay you a page rate, or unless you already have a completed book. Get a lawyer to read your contracts, because it sucks being in this position with a completed book that you really love and nobody gets to read, or they get to read against your own will. And 3, if you're making comics or doing anything really, you gotta just fucking believe in yourself. You just gotta go for it. You can't let. I've been really upset about this, and I thought about quitting comics for like the last month, and it was only today, in a fit of pure rage, where I was like, no, I'm not going to let someone scare me out of comics because they want to treat me like shit. It's just not going to happen. So it's just one of those things, man. You get a shitty hand, and you've just got to play the cards and just go for it and do your best and work from there. In terms of promotion, because I saw the promote yourself, and that's my whole thing. I do have a Kickstarter coming. If you want to support a comic I will actually get paid for, in 8 days, my new book, All the Devils Are Here, hits Kickstarter. And it's a story about an elderly man with dementia who gets possessed by a demon. And it's like Sucker Punch and Inception mixed with Constantine. And it's a really fun, it's really gorgeous. The work's really cool. Matt Harding is my co-creator and my artist, and he's fantastic. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. And throwing it over to you, Nick, is there anything that you want people to know about Action Lab, your experience, and is there anything that you want to promote, any upcoming experiences or appearances, not experiences?
That's cool. It's all good. It's all always an experience. Thanks, Rob. So really, it's simple. Just don't work with Action Lab. You know what? It's not worth the headache. They're too much drama. Okay. And I would say something that I thought I needed to do when I thought I needed to get a footing in the direct market to foster whatever insane idea of a career that I had. You know what the real truth is? You don't have to sign a shit contract. You can just not sign the contract and you'll be happier because of it. That's the main thing that I learned. If you see the red flags, which I saw with these guys before I dove in, there were typos in my contract. They didn't want to involve my they didn't want to involve my collaborator in the discussions and stuff. I should have paid attention to that stuff that made my stomach feel a little weird, but I didn't, because I thought this is what you're supposed to do. You sign a bad contract, you do one book, you sign a slightly less bad contract, and so on. No, you don't ever have to sign a bad contract. And any contract you get, you can say, I want to change this. And if they're not open to having a reasonable discussion about that, they're probably not somebody you're going to want to work with anyway. So, I don't know. I guess the only other thing I'd say is, if you had a bad experience, or if you feel like there are people who've taken advantage of you in comics, tell people about it. I'm not saying I haven't done that. I've always been pretty vocal about that, in my opinion. But I probably waited a year or two longer than I would have to normally say something, because I also thought you sign the shit contract and you just suck it up. But you do not have to do that. You can tell people about it. You can stick up for yourself. It's worth it.
Compare notes, right?
In terms of promoting stuff, just hit up my Twitter @NickMarino, and you'll see what I got going on.
Hell yeah. And definitely compare notes if you're in the industry, because that's the only way that you're going to know. Otherwise, you're just left wandering, and no one wants to be left wandering.
Yep.
So I'm very glad that the both of you came on to the show. We do want to follow up sometime in the near future. Thank you so much for coming on this show. Nick, you're free to hang around if you want. Jared, I know you have to run. We're going to be showing some new comic books shortly. And Ricky has a presentation that he wants to show us on kind of what the law is like with comics and what signing contract is like. So, Ricky, you are ready to go. Otherwise, Jared, Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to bounce. It was great talking to you guys. And hopefully somebody hears this and it makes a little difference for them.
Yep. Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I do sincerely hope that if you're a new creator that you learned anything from the last week of my life. and please don't do something that you're going to end up regretting in 18 months. And perhaps most importantly, free Crash and Troy.
And don't give up. Keep creating
That's the
comics.
shit.
Don't die. Great, awesome shit. Glad they were on the show. So, Ricky,
Nice, guys.
do you have the share screen ready to go?
I didn't know. Let's see. How can I share? I can share a screen right here, or
Yes, you can.
Let me close my YouTube because I wanted to chat sometimes with the people. I didn't know how to do it in here, so. But okay,
Still
I'm
phone
back
on
in
the
my
side.
I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah. So I'm in the chat. Let's share. I didn't really know which what was the layout of the show, but it's great so far. Let me see.
But while you're figuring that out, I'm going to go ahead and we do have a new sponsor to the show, so I do want to make sure that we get that sponsor out there. This show has been brought to you by Subway. Eat fresh. Wait a second. I'm actually told that they're not a sponsor. Are we in trouble?
Nope. Stop talking. Go to jail.
Oops.
Cool. So am I sharing the screen?
Not yet. Just go and hit that share at the bottom there, and it should be able to select. And
share screen.
There you go.
Let's see. Let me go to it. So what are we seeing now?
We are seeing comic book legal drama.
Real quick before we get into this, I just want to bring up how Ignacio called out Terrific tonight.
Oh,
which
yeah.
we did an episode on Terrific like a year ago
about that.
So
nice.
this sounds like a terrible situation for the creators involved, but Terrific might have been as terrible, might have been just as terrible. Sorry, go ahead there, Ricky.
No. Are you seeing anything?
Yes, we see it.
So actually, Betty Bates, Lady at Law. I wish if I could find a golden era one of these books, I would get it. So if anybody lets me know where it is, this is amazing. This is probably one of the first attorneys that was in the comic books. Betty Bates, Lady at Law. I'll teach you to lie to a reputable attorney. Bah! Gorgeous.
Wow.
All right. Next slide.
Do you suggest that as a lawyer? Punch.
No, well. So this is hi, Mr. Worst, CEO of Worst Comics. Can you publish my comic? Sure, all you have to do is give me your life. Wow, sure, have my soul too. Now that I will be published in Worst Comics, I will be so famous and sexy. My friend, can you believe Mr. Worst just gave me $100 and he made $1 million off of me? Well, I did tell you to get that paper you signed with him reviewed. Your character COVID Man is amazing. And then, hey, babe, did you get your check? We're rich now. Just 100. At least got 100 copies to give to my Not Near Me YouTube friends. So there you go. Are you watching that?
That was great.
That was excellent. That was one of the best comments I've read this year.
So this is one of the main destroyer ducks, obviously.
Oh.
So let me stop sharing. Am I back on? So basically,
you are back with us.
Just some little notes I have. I'm here, right?
You are back with us.
Am I here in the universe?
Yes.
You're
in the
back in this reality.
I got it. Well, thanks again for having me here.
So, Ricky, did you hit the comic shop today? Did you
I'm
pick
here,
up
right?
any book?
Okay.
You are here. You are with us. We can see you.
I didn't pick up any books, but I did get. Hold up, I can. If you
All right. If you picked up books,
show you what I got in
then
the mail.
Well, what we're going to do is,
I didn't pick
because
them up;
this
they
is our
came to
new
me.
segment of our show, and the new segment of our show is just a little something that I like to call comic book therapy, and we have a little intro to that. So we're just going to go ahead and play that.
I'm going to get what I want.
Christ. Comic books. Comic books. Comic books.
Oh my god.
Comic books.
Let's get some.
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 Comic books.
Wow.
Over to you. Comics at law. What do you got?
So today, not today or yesterday, I got in the mail something I'm working on, so I can slowly reach the level of you black belts in comics. I'm just like a green belt or something now. But since I can't get my Hulk 181, I'm gonna get my Sleepwalker on. I really like this. I've gotten a bunch of books.
Very nice.
I actually have a good friend, Isaac, that covered some hearings for me. He had a bunch of old comics. So I traded covering a case before a judge, for some comics, and I traded like some old video games for comics. So I got a run of Sleepwalker, and I really liked it. And I picked up. So I wanted to fill in the run. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 I got in Homestead near Rob at that store down south, and I paid like $1 or something.
Oh yeah, you went to that
I got.
record
I'll show you some more later on when the turns go around. But some more Sleepwalker, and for some reason, I read a bunch of different ones, different that you guys all have and stuff. But for some reason, I just like Sleepwalker, and that's a little mini preview of something I got today, and then you can go around. I guess I gotta get more books later, but I don't want to waste your time. But so
Waste
that
time.
first,
That's all we do here, reading comics and showing them off.
Exactly.
so some old school, not old school, but high school books.
They're high school for us, but for a lot of kids that are in their 20s watching, the 1990s are as old as it was back in the 90s for us.
Yeah.
Thinking about the 1960s.
But
Right.
you know what I could do is though.
How about that? We had in the 90s, we had old 30-year-old comics were the silver age. For kids nowadays, these kids these days, 30-year-old comics are young blood strike file.
Shut
And
up.
Some of those came out before I was born.
But
Damn.
Stop depressing me, Ace.
I
something
was
I
in
have to
kindergarten in '92. Yeah, I was in kindergarten around that. Yeah.
do.
Shut
Something
the fuck up.
I was just learning to walk in '92.
I hate all of you.
Get that shit out of here.
Something I should
Oh.
show you, since it's comics at law, is why do I do that, right? So because
Yeah.
I was talking to Rob, and I think I mentioned it a long time ago at another show. I can't just start. Although I what is the saying? I got off the tracks because I would just focus on attorney characters, right, or legal themes, trials, attorneys, and I'll show you that. Not right. Just 1 second. But since I started now collecting other stuff, now I'm done. But I still am gonna focus on lawyers. So this is like my closet office.
Ooh.
So I got some
Yeah,
lawyers,
check that.
or if they're not lawyers, they're sort of like judges or like the living tribunal, sort of tribunal, whatever. You see here the Green Lantern in a court, sort of the whole trial. Earth 2 Robin was a lawyer. The Thinker Golden Age was a Clifford, was a lawyer. The
I didn't know
Accuser.
that.
Oh, that's the gold and silver Atom there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a dope ass book. That's a dope ass book.
Actually, my favorite cover in my whole collection, Daredevil, 53.
Oh,
And then you have the
nice.
trial, the Falcon, a bunch of trials about, they're different things. Trial Peter Parker, vigilante. Lady Bullseye is a lawyer. Judge Dredd, I guess he's judge, jury, and executioner, matchmaker.
Of course.
Just so you know, that first vigilante out there, that new Teen Titans Annual #2, has what might be the most racist character in DC's entire history.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, super racist.
Even worse than Rage from Marvel.
That's Marvel. I said in DC's history.
Right.
DC created a character. It was a one-off character. He is a black villain, and his name is Spear.
No, get that shit out of here.
I'm not shitting you, man.
No
I'm not
way.
shitting you. On purpose. It's
Michael
also
got it.
It's also the introduction of Cheshire. Is it Jade? Whoever had the kid with Roy Harper, Arsenal / Speedy.
I know.
No, just Spear. Just Spear, Michael. Just Spear. I don't think that's in there.
There's Rob Wurst in as the court reporter.
There he is.
That's
He's
hot.
got more hair than that.
You saw the court reporter?
That's
Right
great.
there?
That does kind of look like me.
It does a little bit.
So
You got the suit.
Razor in
You
hand.
got the suit though.
Yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. I'll shut up now, Your Honor.
And so those are the type of stuff. Obviously, I collect other type of books, but that's the what I've been focusing on. But
that shit is
now with
tight.
my friend giving me a bunch of books. Now I got the worst virus that I have to collect everything now. But
I love that you call it the worst virus. After meeting me at a deposition about almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You go, oh, he reads comics. I'm going to start reading comics too. Several $1,000s later.
Yeah, because I used to collect, a long time ago, but then that died, and then he sparked it again.
Sorry.
So, but I knew I couldn't catch up, so I wanted to focus on something. So, among all you black belts and masters of the universe, I want to see what can I focus on that nobody else has focused on. So I focus. Okay, let me focus on lawyer characters and become an expert on like a little niche that nobody focuses on. So I'm gonna know who I collect, and I Google, in fandom and what lawyers of what characters. So I have a bunch of random characters that are attorneys or lawyers or whatever. So that's my niche.
Good choice. I like it.
To help contribute to this community a little bit of my knowledge.
I like it.
And then contribute your dollars to all the stores.
Right. A little bit less of that.
Conservative in how I spend. I'm very like sniperish. I guess precise decisions in what I buy and stuff. But yeah. But
I'm
I guess
familiar with the
buying
sniper
everything.
sort of effect.
But that's my little intro, little round or whatever.
All right.
All right. So who wants to show some comics next? Who's got some books? Ace.
Yeah, got a fat old stack today.
See that fat old stack. I like them
All
thick.
right. Got Crackle.
Yeah, Phil Bob.
Yeah, I
That
got
shit was
volume 1 and
clean.
2. Yeah. Then I got a little gift from Vault in the mail today.
I love that vault.
Or yesterday, or whatever.
Oh, so
This is a
cool.
little tarot deck from one of their artists,
Ooh.
Lisa. She does the art on Witchblood and Submerged. And that's all I have today.
That was it?
Yeah.
They said they had a fat stack.
That was
I
like,
didn't say
okay.
what the fat stack was.
Whoa. Hey,
That was fun. And that's what we expect from Ace.
And what do you need?
Probably a good fuck.
I could do that.
All right, who wants to go next? Comics on the Mind. You got a few books?
Yeah, sure. I could show some. I actually have 2 stacks.
Then let's
Sure.
get
Waka,
ready
waka, waka.
for
Waka,
Comics
waka, waka.
on the Mind as we show some exploding shit
snap.
here.
Now, I'd like you to think of something specific of your organization, and that you will not object to having disclosed.
Yes, I have something. Do I have to close my eyes?
It doesn't matter.
All right, yes, I have something.
These are comic books, and they're soaked. Soaked. Look, man, this is all soaking wet. That makes them worth nothing. Shitola.
They dry myself.
You don't. I'm with you. I collect comic books. You don't dry them out. They're done.
You're gonna kill Spider-Man with plutonium from Scotland?
Let me see that. Every time I see that guy tear that comic, I want to reach right through the screen and punch him in his mouth. Every single time.
I'm not the only one.
Nope. I'm gonna meet that actor someday. I'm just gonna throw him an ass whooping. He ain't gonna know why.
This is like the 15th time. You guys leave me alone.
week.
That was a job.
I'm sorry, I tore it. Stop hitting me.
I ain't got that book, and it could have been in my collection.
Right? Son of a bitch.
Okay, so the first chunk that I'm about to show is the books I picked up when I was visiting my homie, Comic Zombie. Shout out to my Zombro. Speaking of getting books wet, I had to replace this book because I spilled something on it.
Curses.
So, I know. So
Curses.
that's why I had this book again. But going back to more Kanto,
Did you ever destroy a book that's part of a run and you didn't really care for the book, but like you accidentally destroyed it and then you're like, like I have the whole run, but this one book, now I got to buy this book I didn't really like. You ever do that?
Not completed the run, but I was working on the run and I was just like, I can always get that book back. And then I was just like, it was more like the book blew up. Like when I first started collecting, I didn't know what books, I didn't really know what key issues books were. I had like the first cameo of what was his of Carnage, and I'm like, I didn't know what that book was. It's just a Spider-Man book that I picked up at a half price book. It got it got a little bit, and I was like, oh, give it to the kids.
Right.
And yeah,
there you go. That'll happen.
There you go. Now I know what that book is, and that book is going for $80 now.
Shit, that's a good price. That's a good price, $80.
I know.
Show us what you got, man.
I didn't realize that this new run of Kanto came out, so I picked this up and I added it onto my pool. So
very nice, very nice.
Issue number 2. What else I got? I got some Scotty Young goodness right here. Gamma Flight number 2. You know I had to give me some Scotty Young. Got Demon Days Curse Web. Keep hearing everybody say it's good, so I had to get it. Picked up a couple of back issues of ROM. Some of y'all have seen this already. Here's issue number 14.
Nice.
And here's issue number 46.
Nice.
And then, of course, I had to get this Skybound X issue number 1. Woo! This was the reason why I got it. You know what this reminded me of? It was like a great pump up story, but a disappointment because I wanted more. And it was just like reading Weapon X, the introduction of the story of Weapon X. It's just like you read this epic story, and it's just like, oh, I gotta read. It's like you filled up the rest of the book with like other stories. You know, that's how I feel here. But anyway, it was great. I loved it. Awesome read. I ended up picking up issue.
Kirk, real quick, do you have the entire run of that Skybound X?
I have. I picked up issue 2 and 3 today. I'm gonna go back and get 4 and 5 when next time I go to the shop. They have it. So I know, like
you might not have paid attention about a couple episodes ago. I have the whole series in your stack.
Oh shit! I did.
It's okay if you want to get them. I'll just give them to Rufo.
Give him the go give him the Rufo. I totally forgot about that.
I'm like, he has one. Well, maybe he doesn't have two and three. I got two and three. I'm like, oh god.
It'll happen.
Sorry, I had to read it. Like after I read
it's okay.
that,
I
that
understand.
Rick Grimes
It's good.
story. But I
great.
totally forgot about that. Here's Everfrost, issue number 2. So good. Issue 2 was really good. And I finally picked up Icon issue number 2. Nice. To read issue number 1.
Nice.
So, but I've been looking forward to. I need to read the older. I wonder if they have it in trade. Some of these.
They're doing an omnibus.
Milestone. Okay. Yep. I'm gonna get it.
Oh,
and of course,
Art Chemist just posted this in the chat, and I kind of find this funny. Where he went, I sneezed and ripped the back page of my Superman number 1, 1939 original. Been on a hunt for another one ever since. Funny story. Dang. Action Comics number 1. Yeah. Back during World War II, there was a paper shortage. So in National Comics, I think 26 or 27 advertised for Action Comics number 1, promised a prize if you would destroy your copy of Action Comics number 1. And the people that won a prize got to win $1 whole.
Bling bling.
No way.
Yeah.
No
that happened.
Yeah.
No way.
A couple years ago, there was a guy who was doing some home remodeling, ripped open a horsehair plaster wall, and underneath it was a copy of Action Comics number 1. He pulled it out, realized what it was, and his mother-in-law was there, went to grab it, said, no way, went and grabbed it, and ripped it. And when they took it to the grader said that was a $50,000 tear right there. $50,000 tear.
They wound up getting about somewhere between $650,000 and $750,000 for it. It would have been worth otherwise about $2 million because it was in about an 8.0.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
Well, that's more than a $50,000 tear there. That's more like a $1.3 million tear.
Yeah,
but I heard $50K. So, but maybe my numbers are wrong. But either way.
This is the story that I relate to people all the time when I'm in a deposition and they go like, oh, you have comics. What do you know about? I tell them that story about this thing was shoved in a wall because back in the 1950s, it was, hey, come on, Kirk. Come on, Ace. Come on, Ricky. Come on, Miracle Man, or whatever your name is, Michael. Come on over and bring your comics. We're going to the local church book burning. So whatever the kid was just went, I need to pick my best stuff and make sure that this gets hidden, and must have forgotten about it. They moved. And then one day, 50, 60, 70 years later, oh my God, it was still in pristine condition until it met Auntie Mame.
I have a comic on point, if I can interject for 1 second, if you allow me to.
Yeah, go for it, Ricky.
Allow me. I showed Rob this, and I don't know if there's going to be a round of the round, but I got this from my buddy Isaac, the attorney, who traded a bunch of other comics. So I opened it up, right? It's great. Wow, awesome. Enjoying the story. I have a nice run. He got me. Open it up. This is on point. There's a fold out in this. I'm sure all of you experts and black belts know about this, right? Apparently, if this book is blowing up, I get it, and I go, whoa, some ninja sliced this? So you got it.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker.
So that's a heartbreaker. Wow, why'd you do that? I go, Isaac, why did you do this? Did you do this? This went, he goes, oh. So I guess this is going to be my own personal thing. So then I got to ask Rob, so, is it, if I tape it just for myself, is it restored, and is it worth now more than an incomplete book? Or that's another discussion for another day. But
it is a detached centerfold.
That's what that count says. Yeah, that's a heartbreaker. That's
a heartbreaker. It's like a 9 point. It's like a 9.8, 9.6. Beautiful. And then
the cover is
right. It presents well.
Qualified.
25-cent book now.
Yeah. Lord. Bummer.
All right. Kirk, what else you got?
Dollar bin, y'all. I got this sweet paprika.
Nice.
Issue number 1.
Beautiful.
A-OK by the Zombro. Issue number 2.
Nice.
And then I don't want to get us in trouble, so I'm not going to show that other cover.
You got the nude, huh?
But you know what I got.
Yeah. Sure do.
It's that nudie nude one, and it's so great. And then he also AOK'd this bad boy to me.
Dope.
Of course, this is a great cover.
Great cover. Might be the best one from the series.
And he AOK'd this one, the Sideways story.
Did you read that yet?
I haven't read it. It's going to be one of the books I read
gorgeous.
tonight.
Gorgeous.
I can't wait to read it. So let me get to my stack from this week. Here's what this week's stack. We got Batman and Catwoman. What issue is this? We are on issue number 7 now. Yeah. Yes.
Same cover.
Issue number 7. Yeah.
Was that from last week or this week?
This week.
Just from this week.
Shit.
All these are this week's books.
I think I might have put back this week's because I thought that I already read it.
Dang.
I need to get another copy.
Here's Batman issue 112. I'm so behind. I'm on issue 109. I gotta finish. I gotta catch up.
Is it just me, or are we just not getting enough Batman lately? I feel like.
Look, I'm just reading this and Detective. Don't put me in the category of the other 15,000 Batman. This is. I'm reading the basic Batman. Where's the basic pretzels at, Rob? That's the Batman.
If I had to ask you about was that from last week or this week, it already tells you that I'm actually trying to keep up and I still can't keep up.
Bro, you said I'm reading Batman and Detective, and you just showed Batman Catwoman. Don't be bullshit.
Okay. And that one. That's 3. There ain't no other one.
Here's Batman Reptilian. Here's Batman.
I'm waiting until trade. I heard that's really good.
You fucking tracer! Your mother's a tracer!
True.
See me.
I wonder if you could yell that your mother's a tracer when there's twins. Like your mom has twins, and somebody be like, "Your mother's a tracer," because they had 2 kids. They traced. Never mind. Go ahead.
I don't know. There's only really 2 kinds of people.
I guess there's just 2 kinds of people, Miss Sandstone. My kind of people and assholes. It's rather obvious which category you fit into. Have a nice day.
Are you shit? That's savage.
Here's 34, issue 34 of Daredevil. What's up, Zomber? What else we got? We got that Savage Avengers. I'm like 2 books behind, but it is so good. These covers are so great. They're chewing the flesh off of somebody. Who got chumped on? Here's Mighty Morphin.
100% accurate, Michael.
And then
I'm with you on that, Zombie.
The best kitty cat story. What my Zombro saying? Cinnamon. Issue number 2.
I saw that.
It was really good. Issue number 1 was so good. This one, I can't wait to read this one.
Eva, were you talking shit on me with that? I don't know. So
where is the love? What so much shit talking? Everfrost issue 3.
Oh, number 3 came out.
Can't wait. I think I thought it was already out, so I
missed it.
Oh wow. Better pick that sucker up.
Yeah.
This did come out today, and I can't wait to read that whole trio.
Kanto number 3.
And then I picked up Defenders issue number 1 because everybody keeps saying it's so good, so I picked it up. And then here's that issue number 2.
Nice.
I have a feeling that's going to be a big book in a couple of years. Just a feeling.
Yeah, Mother of Galactus. Come on.
Yep. I should have got like 50 variants of it.
There were a lot of variant covers. Covers.
I was just being a dick, but damn.
Marvel, man. Lay out the fucking variants, Marvel. You're killing me. You're killing me here.
Speaking of first appearances, apparently this is the first appearance from Machine Boy.
Yeah. That's that Skybound X.
And then, of course, Gotta read that story.
That would have been in your pile.
I know. Here's another one that would have been in my pile. I didn't know. I just said, I gotta get him.
I'll tell you, this book is going to end up being a sleeper because my shop ordered heavy and it's still sitting on a pile of them, and I just don't get it.
Damn. It's a great story.
The first issue is the first comic book appearance of Clarabelle, whatever her name is, from the Walking Dead Telltale games. It's her first comic book appearance. And, you know, anything that just shows you how cooled down Walking Dead has become, that didn't just blow up all over the place and they did 25 printings of it, you know?
Yeah.
That's another rabbit hole.
People will peep in later.
The Walking Dead later on.
Yeah.
Everybody's worried about the color print, the printed issue.
Clementine.
Out.
Not Clarabelle.
Oh, Clementine.
No, Carolina is
years behind everybody
right now.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I'm a few years behind everybody.
But
I just started watching The Walking Dead during work, just like on the Netflix, like last week. But I'm on season 5 already.
After they killed my boy, I stopped watching it. I couldn't do it.
Then I'll maybe I'll pick up the comic books if I can even afford them. They're probably the ridiculous prices now as everything's going.
They're coming down.
Tangerine. That's a perfect name.
Are you all done there, Kirk?
I got 2 more and I'm done.
Let's see him, Sam.
And then here's that good old Maze book. I don't know if anybody picked this up today, but I had to get it because I didn't realize it was Jeff Lemire. And then the artwork just reminded me of it's like the same artwork from what is that book he did? Family Tree, which is a great story. You need to read if you did not read that because Jeff Lemire killed it. But yeah, I got that, and then of course I had to pick up another Scotty for the Toxin. Yep, that's all I got.
And isn't that like the first Ben Wren or something is Toxin or what? I don't know.
Have no idea.
Another new symbiote. Scotty. We need another new symbiote like I need an asshole in my elbow.
Man, they've been pumping out symbiotes like crazy. It's not as bad as the 90s. They had symbiote, like it was like Symbiote Mondays. Like it was every Monday. They were like, let's make another symbiote.
We got symbiotes in the Marvel universe, and we got the Batman in the DC universe. Both are just way too much. Just pull it back.
The whole Bat family. There's a book for everybody. The Bat Twins. Issue 1.
Hey, so that's the best. That's the best comment of the night right there. So I got a couple of books, Mr. Worst.
All right, blowing you up. I guess I should probably play some kind of branding for you or something. I don't know.
He's a pedantic, pontificating, pretentious bastard, a belligerent old fart, a worthless, steaming pile of cow dung.
That was not supposed to be for you.
Accurate.
Maybe.
Accurate.
So the fun of Miracle Man. What Alan Moore did that was so brilliant, Michael Moran has grown up. And he's in his 40s, he's overweight, he's sad. There's something that he can't remember.
There's more than a few somethings I can't remember. There's a couple of things I can't remember. I'll tell you what. First of all, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for hanging out in the chat. I see we got about 15 people in there. I have some of my absolute very favorite human beings on the planet in the chat tonight. Eva Webb, she knows I love her. Respawn, just like the prettiest girl on the earth. Michael, Robo, everybody, thank you so much for being here, hanging out with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Let's look at some fucking comics. First, we have that DC Infinite Frontier number 6. That's the final issue. It's going to be the new introduction of a character. It's going to set up, if you haven't read your DC previews yet, a little bit of a spoiler, it's going to be setting up a brand new Justice League Incarnate-ish series that's going to deal with the Justice League of the Multiverse, Captain Carrot, Earth 23 Superman, that Calvin Ellis, the Obama Superman, as I like to call him.
Obama Superman?
Obama Superman. Batman, Catwoman number 7. That's Calvin Ellis. He's basically Obama Superman.
I love it. I fucking love it. Is that series good?
Which one? Blue and gold?
Blue and gold, yeah.
Fam.
Damn, I gotta pick that shit up.
I have been waiting for this book since 1988. I'm so happy it's finally out. It's gorgeous too. It's gorgeous. The art's great. Everything's great. Nice House on the Lake, number 3, 4. I don't know what this is even at this. What issue is this?
I'm gonna read it in trade because I'm already
4.
this issue 1.
Issue 4. Great, dude. Such a great fucking story, man. Such a great fucking story. Search for Hugh, number 1 from Aftershock. Great opening issue, guys. If you missed out on it, a lot of action. Dope ass book. This one might be my favorite number 1 of the week, though. Dead Box from Vault.
Oh, going back to get that tomorrow.
From our dude, Mark Russell.
No copies at my shop, but I did get the No More
Human.
There is a hack variant cover that I want very badly, but I believe it is a store exclusive. So I'm gonna have to track that mofo down. There were 2, not 1, but 2. I lie. There were 3 Suicide Squad books that came out today. Suicide Squad, the 2021 annual, that finishes the stories started in the first 6 issues. And then Suicide Squad number 7 starts a new story, adds Ambush Bug to the Suicide Squad. The 3rd book is Suicide Squad Get Joker. That's that black label book. It's been a lot of fun.
Clean.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
It looks huge.
It looks huge. It is huge. It's huge. Now, listen, this is art, ladies and gentlemen. But if you have some children watching the show at 11:41 p.m. or you're watching this on the replay, please shield their eyes. Make sure you're over the age of 18 if you're watching Not Near Mint in general, but most particularly the next couple of seconds. And YouTube, as I've said, this is fucking art. But here we have the last book you'll ever read, number 2. That's a Richard Pace cover. He's been getting horny lately. He's been doing a lot of horny stuff. But there's that last book. Now there's some back issues. Here's a little book I got on the bay. Love. I'm so excited about this one. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 1 from 2018. This is the Adam Hughes variant virgin sepia toned cover. Look at that. Isn't that pretty?
Ooh. Super
pretty. Now we got some fucking weird shit, man. I can't wait to show you guys this. So after in the late 90s, DC Comics put out Zero Hour. It was supposed to kind of sort of be the sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths, but they weren't allowed to talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Weird.
But coming out of Zero Hour, there were like 5 different series that started. The only one that survived past like 20 issues was Starman. The Jack Knight Starman by James Robinson. Had the Shade, had a Solomon Grundy that you actually cared about. One of the other books that came out.
Too.
What's that?
Hitman technically too with Garth Ennis, but I think
that wasn't Zero Hour. That wasn't Zero Hour. That came out of the Bloodlines annual event. Different event. So here we have it. Manhunter was this was supposed to kind of be a play on the generation. They've had a lot of Manhunters at DC.
Mm-hmm.
This one totally unrelated in every way. But here's Manhunter number 5, number 7. Look at these weird ass covers. Number 8. Check this shit out. Look at that. That's not cool, right? Number 9. I think this one went like 17 or 20 issues or something. It was a weird story. It was a weird book. Major Bummer number 5. I've been trying to put these together. This is a creator-owned property. John Arcudi, Doug Mankey. He's like a slacker with superpowers. Like it's a very specific time period to be able to say slacker. Like you can't say slacker now. You look like an old person.
1995 is when it hit its pinnacle.
Right. I think that's when this book came out, actually. Next up, I've been trying to fill these in for a while. This is from the 4th and 5th. I think for Stormwatch here, it's going to be 4th. For Authority here, it's going to be 5th. Maybe vice versa. I'm not sure. But basically, after Wildstorm was bought by DC, they put out all their stories and all their series. There was like 4 books, maybe 5 books. They were all tied into the apocalypse of the Wildstorm universe. The Earth was destroyed. The surviving heroes were all in one big giant team. And all the books intertwined with each other. They were fucking amazing. And they have some pretty big names that you're going to see as I show you here. Here we have Stormwatch number 20, the Post-Earth division. This is after Earth was destroyed. Stormwatch still had their sky satellite and would beam down to Earth to fuck up bad guys. Here's number 23. Here is The Authority. I believe this is volume 4 or 5. Like I said, I'm not sure. But there's issue number 6. That's actually Jack Hawksmoor, the guy, the king of the cities. Here's number 9. Christos Gage did a lot in this stuff. Here's number 12.
I'm still wondering if they're going to bring back Jack in the Superman Authority storyline, because it seems as though they're going to be using
14.
What's his name? Manchester Black as his stand-in.
15. Well, that's the Jenny Zero stand-in.
Yeah, that's the next Jenny Zero after the first one died.
Well, so Manchester Black originally was created to be a pastiche and mock Jenny of the Authority. Now he's standing in for Jenny of the Authority in the Authority. It's kind of weird, very, very meta. Here's number 17. Here's number 23. Look at the name on this book. See that? Taylor?
Now, is that Tom?
It sure is.
Hell yeah.
Tom Taylor, not only does he destroy the DC universe on a regular basis, he also had a hand in destroying the Wildstorm universe. There's issue 24.
New trailer is out for Injustice.
Here's issue 25. Look at these dope-ass covers. I mean, it's every superhero in the Wildstorm universe. Every single one of them. Here's number 26. They're all on one team. They're all on one team. Here's number 27. That's the second to last issue. Right there. Now, in the long, long ago, before the existence of World of Warcraft, there was another MMORPG, which stands for Massive Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Game, called City of Heroes, which was a video game where you got to design your own superhero and go forth through the city and have lots of little battles, build your character up, join a super team, do quests, all kinds of dope-ass shit, expand your powers. And what they did was they gave you a free comic when you had the monthly subscription, because, you know, at first you had to pay monthly for it. I ended the subscription at some point and never got anything beyond issue 6. So here we have issue 7, issue 8. Look at the publisher. It is Blue King Studios. Here's issue 9. Blue King Studios. Here's issue 10. They're actually shockingly not horrible. Here's issue 11. And here's the final issue, issue 12. Now, they actually did a City of Heroes for Image. Image published a City of Heroes line. This was near the end of City of Heroes, the game, after WoW came out. When WoW came out, literally from one day to the next, you went from 9 full servers down to like 1/5 full server. It was like that. So depressing. But it was a great game. You can actually play it for free now if you know where to look. Here we have the Lobo ongoing series from the 90s, issue 38. Guys, this series is like a fucking ghost. You cannot find the original Lobo series. I'm telling you right now. Go look for him. I know, me too, debate me. Go look for him. You ain't gonna find him. I'm telling you, you ain't gonna find him. Now, once again, this is art and nothing is exposed. But I'm going to show this cool ass book right here. This is from Verotic by Danzig and Wingbird. Satanica X one shot. Now, this is definitely some nudie stuff inside this book, kids. So make sure you don't buy this book for the youngins. If you buy a Verotic book for your kids, you're an idiot. Don't buy a Verotic book for any of them for your kids. That's insanity. But definitely not this one. Just a couple more here. Tales of the Teen Titans. This is very near the end of this series, 88. And this is actually Tales of the Teen Titans is a continuation of the new Teen Titans run, the Wolfman and Perez. Here's 89. I think it went to like 90. You son of a bitch. I think it went to like 94 or something. It was a weird ending. But near the end, they do get a little bit tougher to come by. Last but not, actually, no, what I lied to you. I'm gonna show you a couple more here. This is just a badass cover, and of course, it's Alex Ross. Merciless: The Rise of Ming, the villain from Flash Gordon. Well, of course you do, Eva, but you're like that super progressive parent. Coming out near the same time, Flash Gordon Zeitgeist, another beautiful Alex Ross cover. And you know what I've heard has been real popular lately is this rabbit fella by the name of Usagi Yojimbo. And here we have a nice little run from his Dark Horse books. Here's issue 141, 142, 143. These are all Stan Sakai covers, and 144. Now, those are going to my brother. I actually don't collect the Usagi Yojimbo, but he does. He loves them, so he was very excited to hear that I got them. And my last 3 books here, trying to finish out this run. Boy, it's gotten a lot easier since the show ended. But we have Preacher number 28. I love all those Glenn Fabry covers. 31. You look at them. Fucking amazing they are.
Everyone.
And 45. And that's it. That's all I got this week, guys.
Those are still pretty damn good books.
Oh, thank you.
All right, I guess it's time for me to start doing some of my sort of thing. So I guess here we go.
Nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everybody's gonna die. Come watch TV. Wow, hey, look you guys, the sun's rising.
So I got 3 small stacks, each one a little bit bigger than the last. So here is the first stack. This is the Independence.
True story, everybody. Rob calls us every morning and does that exact thing when he wakes up. Every one of us calls us and wakes us up.
Because the sun...
That's my alarm clock.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, that's pretty much every morning for everybody. And by the way, Comics on the Mind is on the West Coast, so when I'm waking up at 8 a.m., I'm doing that to him at like, 4, 5?
5.
Wow.
This is for
yeah.
Ace, because Ace sent a text earlier today, and I went, okay, I'll look for it, not knowing that it probably wouldn't be there. Hey, look, it's there. There was only 1 copy, and he goes, that might be for someone. He's doling out the books and goes, I guess no one ordered it. Here you go. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Nice. Very nice.
Thank
So,
you.
yay, Ace has got one. And speaking of Ace, because I made a comment on another show that I was missing a particular book. I have a lot of the boys, but I don't have all of the boys because there was a couple little stories here and there. This is one of those such stories.
There it is.
This is the story of the legend where he says, okay, this is kind of how the legend got fired. Wait, how did the legend get fired? He's like Stan Lee. Well, it was the 90s and his stuff wasn't selling, so let's just get 2 women to get their mind controlled and smash their big titties together. It's 4 pages of that.
Literally.
Awesome.
Glad you like the sugar tits.
Thank you so much. This is the issue 2011 copy. This is the next year, of course. So this has all the anthology from all the creators back in that era. Here we have issue 5 of Eve.
Nice.
I have not read past the first 3, so I have to read the last one and this one.
Eve is so good.
But it's been a great
So
series.
good.
I kind of hope that it goes past issue 5. Let's get a 6 and 7. Keep going.
I don't know if
I
it's
don't
got
know
the
about
legs
this.
to that.
This Mark Guggenheim. I am curious about it. I can't
yeah.
wait to read it. It will be at the top of my pile. I was not originally going to be reading every issue of this, but when I realized it's only 5 issues and not 12, okay, I'll pick up The Me You Love in the Dark. It's Scotty Young. He's a great writer, and I like him as much as he does his art when he's a writer. Now, the first issue of this had a great painted cover. This cover here is a little bit more minimalist, but it is Mark Russell, and I will pretty much read just about anything the man writes.
Yeah.
So
Same.
here are my Marvels that I picked up today. So I'll start with issue 73 of Amazing Spider-Man, where, spoiler alert, guys, we wind up finding out that it wasn't Harry Osborn, but it does take care of another troublesome thing that happened in the history of Spider-Man. And I'm not going to spoil it. Just read it, guys. Issue 74 comes out next month, and I guess we got a new writers. Pat Gleason and all. So I picked up some of these back issues. They're Black Panther, The Doom Wars. This is issue 9. Here's issue 10. And what this is leading into is what's probably going to be happening in the movies. And I didn't pick this up because I'm trying to spec on movie shit because I'm never going to sell this stuff. So this is the first time that Shuri and the Submariner fight, and it's Shuri as the Black Panther fighting Submariner. This is probably going to wind up happening in the next movie, but we'll see. So here we have issue 12. This is the final issue before the Doom War. Great little cover. Now, I was telling everybody issue 10 comes out next month. It is on FOC right now. There's only one cover that's going to be offered for it, and there will be a new bad guy that is introduced. It is on FOC this week. Make sure to get issue 10. This is issue 9. So here's issue 34 of Daredevil. It's the only thing I really got a chance to read before the start of the show. And we get Typhoid Mary back. But I want to see where this is going to lead into the new series. This is the copy that I got for Miles Morales that will be going to Lady Fantastic. Lady Fantastic is still on vacation. We look forward to her return very soon. Here we got Deadpool, black and white, the regular cover. And I'm not a huge Deadpool fan, and I'm never going to probably pick up another ongoing Deadpool, but
Yes, you will.
Maybe the first issue or 6. Here's that issue 2 of Defenders, Mother of Galactus, first full. Now, here's one thing that I did spec on today because Robert Villa, good guy that comes to the store, friend of mine, he picked up this book and was like, hey, so this might actually be who Doctor Strange really is. And that's why he's like winking and has that weird eye tick in the trailer there. Because he's not really Mephisto, he's Xanadu, and it's just a dark aspect of Doctor Strange. I don't know, but okay, $25. I don't give a shit. It has the Marvel value stamp. Fine, I'll take it. Shang-Chi issue number 4. This is the first appearance, retconned, of the mother of Shang-Chi. And picked up this copy, so it'll go to Lady Fantastic because it has Miles Morales. Here's that copy of Toxin that we were talking about. I like this cover, but I also like Scotty Young, so maybe I got the wrong cover. I don't know. Just about every copy of Marvel new issues this week had a backup story that featured 9/11. Since it's now later this week, it'll be the 20th anniversary.
Wow.
The towers in New York City was hit by some assholes. And it gave this huge, great big crime scene that affected the country and is still affecting us today. So John Romita Jr. Was the artist and Joe Quesada was the writer. And 20 years ago, they did a 9/11 tribute book. So they did a follow-up to this where it starts out with Spider-Man receiving a call from Mary Jane. Hey, everything all right there, Tiger? You sound a little troubled. And then the rest of it is a silent issue as it's just bong, bong. It's a moment in silence as you just see glances around the city of people in remembrance. It's powerful, it's good, and way to go, guys. You knocked it out of the park. Hellions, I missed, I missed the issue 14. I know 15 already came out, but somehow I missed it. Sometimes you miss things when there's too much shit coming out. X-Men. Speaking of which, and this is the last of the Marvel's books that I picked out, issue 23. So now I'm going to jump on over to the DC books that came out this week, and I wound up getting a bit more of the DC than I did the Marvel. Or maybe not, it's just that they're all thicker and they're oh my God. When they cost $1 more because they're just thicker, okay, at least it makes it harder to destroy because I have Butterfingers, and I'm still surprised I haven't dropped anything yet. This should be interesting, especially now that it's going to be coming to a conclusion very quickly with Tinian moving on over to Substack. I got Black Manta number 1. I'll give it a read, but I have a feeling this will probably be going to Rufo. I got Blue and Gold number 2 because Dan Jurgens just knows how to write my 2 boys here. Crush and Lobo, to be honest, I have not read even the first issue, but I'm a big fan of Lobo, and I want to just blow through the whole thing when it's finished. And if it's good, great, I'll keep it. If not, I'll give it away. More Green Lantern, because I pretty much have almost every single issue of Green Lantern from Hal Jordan to present, and I'm still working on that. Here is Joker Presents the Puzzle Box #2. I didn't read the first issue. I don't know why I got it. It was in my stack. I'm not going to just put it back. Got the cover A. Cover B will probably be coming next week because they were all destroyed. Oops. So at least I have one copy that I can read later. And I got Nice House on the Lake issue 4, the B cover. I'm just preferring the B covers.
Same.
I don't know. Here is the people are looking for this. This is the Tule, I guess her name is, cover.
I need to find that.
It's so good. And I think the cover A is blowing up because of some kind of first appearance of not even a superhero, just some rando. I don't know. I haven't read it, so I can't confirm or deny. Here is that Suicide Squad #7, Ambush Bug, although I do like that cover A a bit more just because of the homage to Ambush Bug. Then we get the annual cover B to Suicide Squad. Love these cover Bs because it just seems like they put that much more effort into the artwork. Here is the second print of Superman, Son of Kal-El, which I was very much impressed by the very first issue. The second issue was still just as good. I believe I will be following it just because of my man, Tom Taylor. Swamp Thing by V. I haven't read past the first 2 issues because this feels like it's going to be very thick, very nuanced, and I don't want to miss any details. And, oh yeah, I did kind of make some comment about a Grail, and you already got it in the chat, and people that look at my Twitter, you already know about it, but this is the most money I have ever spent on a comic book in my life.
Yet.
Wow.
Yet it is not 9.8. It's not 8.0. It's probably not even a 3.0. I'll let you guys decide. But it is one of my favorite 2 comic book characters of all time. Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, found on eBay, and I just went, I know I've been looking for Hulk 181 and that GSX #1, but you were reading Green Lantern a lot longer before you were reading Mutants. You never, ever, ever see raw copies come out on eBay or even just anywhere for that matter. You usually see the graded shits and they're through the roof. So this just had to be something where I did not listen to Comic Tom and I did not geek responsibly, because when you're making court reporter salary and you want something like this, there's no way to geek responsibly. But favorite comic book character next to Babs. And this has been our show. I thank everybody for watching, and we are going to go around the room and just go, hey, anything else that people want to promote? Anything going on your channel? Anything going on your YouTube, your Twitter, your Instagram? What's going on with you, Ricky? Anything you got to promote?
Not much. Just supporting my flat-footed people around the world and existing, in COVID life, but nothing really new going on. I guess if something comes up, I'll let you know to let the whole world know. But thanks again for having me. It's been fun, and I love being with you guys.
So glad that you were able to come out here, Ricky. Really, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Now,
You're
Ace,
welcome.
I know that you do Brags and Boards. When is the next episode?
Next Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about one of the Sandman volumes. It has a lot of random issues in it. Yay.
Yay. Now, Kirk, I know that over on your channel, you usually do something on Thursday nights. Last Thursday, I'm pretty sure I passed out at early. Anything going on over on your channel?
Yes, we will definitely be doing a show tomorrow. I know I've said that the last 2 weeks when we didn't do a show, but we will be doing a show this week. I talked to Todd, and we will be doing a show. So stay tuned. I believe it'll be on my channel. Just look for both. I'll make sure I'll promote it tomorrow. But yeah, we'll be doing a show. But besides that, I don't have anything else. Just, say what's up to me if you see me in the chats.
Why that? No, I'm not going to do that. Oh, wait, that's so 90s. Jesus, I'm old.
What were the 90s like?
Radical.
Gray and baggy.
A lot of flannel.
Gray and baggy. And they were gray and baggy. That was what the 90s were. I mean,
Don't
think
forget
about
overalls.
Think about it. You had overalls, flannel shirts. You had grunge on the West Coast. Like, come on. It was gray and it was baggy. That's what
It was
the 90s
Seattle.
were.
It was very Seattle.
Yeah,
What's
all
going
of
on
America
over on
was Seattle.
Twitter?
So over on Twitter, we got 3 scumbag chuds who've been chasing me around for like 2 weeks now, ever since they got exposed for being like just total pieces of trash. They're probably watching this one right now, just hate fapping to the sound of my voice. So just so you know, I know it, you scumbags. Other than that, come on by and say hi. We'll talk about comics. We can dunk on some chuds. We'll make fun of some culture war tourists. That's always fun. And, other than that, that's all I got.
Well, that's still that's better than what I got. I have no appearances coming up. I have no shows coming up except for next Wednesday, which is what we do every single Wednesday. So I want to thank everybody that's been watching, replay viewers, live viewers. Otherwise, the comic book shop that I go to, his name is John Freshly. The name of his Instagram page is Miami Fresh Comics. This is where I get all my stuff. He just found a ASM 300 that a dude wound up purchasing about maybe 4 or 5 months ago. He sent it to CGC. He just got it back 9.8. Bought this thing from him for I think like $800, maybe $900. It was pristine. So he does fair market value. He'll work with you. So just make sure that you pay right out the gate if you've never worked with him before. But he does his shows usually around 7:30. Really gets going around 8:30. So check him out at Instagram. Otherwise, do smash that like if you like the show. If you didn't like that show, give us a thumbs down because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Just thank you for watching at all, period. Subscribe if you haven't. Make sure that you check every now and then because sometimes they knock us off. I wound up having to resubscribe to people all the time, but it's just the algorithm. Welcome to YouTube. But we will be back at our usual time next week at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you all. We love you. Oh, and don't forget, Black Lives Matter, trans rights, and Helen fucking Mirren because Ace needs to fuck Helen Mirren because that's just the sort of show we are.
And what do you need?
Probably a good fuck.
Oh, yeah.
And that's our show, everybody. Good night. Love you.
Love you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to see this episode again, along with a catalog of back episodes and issues, surf on over to Not Near Mint on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Rob Worst, Lady Fantastic, Miracle Man, Comics on the Mind, Ace, and Whack Comics back next week. New Comic Book Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Not Near Mint. And remember,